Largely people that the Democrats want. Many of them will be fired.
I can't believe Trump just said this.
We can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things that they like, cutting programs that they like.
But Jess, Trump is right. If Democrats don't sign this spending bill, it's their fault for the government shutdown.
Do you know why they're not signing it?
Because they don't want to give Trump his way, ever.
Nope. Do you have health care?
Yeah.
How would you feel if your insurance went up 75%?
I wouldn't like that.
This spending bill would let ACA subsidies expire, which would make premiums jump 75% for millions of Americans.
Wait, really?
Do you support the education system?
Yes.
This bill slashes education funding by 15% and eliminates all funding for public broadcasting.
Oh, so Democrats not signing the bill is an attempt to help everyday Americans?
Exactly. And here's the thing. Trump's already been firing federal workers all year. He's already been cutting programs. But now he's using the shutdown as an excuse to blame all of it on Democrats.
You're right. Republicans control all three branches of government. Maybe they're to blame.
This breaking news, the government shutdown is officially impacting the paychecks of millions of Americans, with federal workers getting only a partial paycheck today. And now multiple federal agencies are announcing mass layoffs, noting the shutdown as a partial reason. The latest now from Washington with ABC's Christian Cordero.
It's payday for the federal workforce, the final check millions of government workers expect to receive until Congress turns the lights back on at the Capitol. And some won't have work to return to. The Office of Management and Budget confirms today layoffs have begun and that they are, quote, substantial. A Health and Human Services spokesperson says the department sent layoff notices across multiple divisions, quote, as a direct consequence of the Democrat-led government shutdown, though they also add HHS under Biden became, quote, a bloated bureaucracy.
Donald Trump has been wanting to do this, right? He's been firing federal workers.
Unlike the vast majority of federal workers, members of Congress continued to get paid through the shutdown. On a path to ending it, Democrats are placing blame on House Speaker Mike Johnson's decision to send Republican representatives home.
Donald Trump's strategy during this government shutdown that he has created has been to play golf and issue deepfake videos. Mike Johnson's strategy is to keep House Republicans on vacation.
Democrats insist on passing a bill that restores Republican cuts to Medicaid and extends Obamacare subsidies, something Republicans say should be debated after the government reopens.
We did our job. By way of reminder, the House passed a clean, nonpartisan CR 3 weeks ago today to keep the government funded and, by extension, to pay our troops and TSA agents and Border Patrol agents and air traffic controllers and the rest of our federal workforce.
At a food pantry in Fort Hood, Texas, this woman says she and her fellow military families waited in line for 2 hours.
We've come a couple times before, but we haven't felt the actual need to come until the government shut down.
It's unclear how many people have been laid off so far, but the White House last week said the cuts would likely be in the thousands. Christian Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
So the government will be shut down for at least several more days because you know who's not on Capitol Hill? Lawmakers. They are still getting their paychecks, but you know who's not? Many federal workers. And I want to introduce you to someone named Willie Jo Price. She is a cafeteria worker at the Library of Congress. She's worked there for 40 years. She's been through shutdown after shutdown. Just take a listen to what she told me years ago.
You worry that you won't be able to pay your bills by the end of the month if Congress doesn't act?
Oh, yeah. Yes. I worry about that. A whole lot. I've been up on this hill for 42 years. I've been there.
Oh. And now here we are yet again. This time she doesn't get a paycheck. She doesn't even get back pay.
God, it's terrible. And the gas bill, all of these things went up. So I'm already juggling paycheck to paycheck.
You may not be able to make rent.
Right.
We're all here to say that this shutdown is unacceptable. And I would say that the reason it's unacceptable is that it's one more step in this authoritarian takeover of our country. It is an attempt by the billionaires and their bought politicians to take from the working class and bring that value up to their own bottom line, their own profit.
President Trump has failed to prioritize keeping the government open. and providing the essential services that federal workers like me and thousands and thousands and thousands more across the country do every single day to serve the American people. And we need to defeat his agenda by, organizing the working class ultimately.
The people with the most experience, they're driving them out, they're getting them to retire early, take the fork in the road, the deferred resignation program, get them to leave the government. Over 300,000, 1 in 8 federal workers this year has left the federal government. So we've had this huge brain drain, this ability to make our services less efficient, less effective, and it's all with the goal of eventual privatization, more contracting out into these same companies that are owned by the same people in the government that are making these decisions. We're seeing them act with little regard to the law, to what American people actually want when they're asked, when they're polled, or at the ballot box. And so all of this adds up to American communities needing to stand with American federal workers at this moment to save what we have in our communities, to save it from this authoritarian takeover, and to say, that this shutdown, but also the bigger shutdown that is their project, is not okay with us. It's not something that we stand for. It's not something that benefits our communities, no matter how much we may believe in, particular political issues. We all believe in community.
No one's coming to save us, clearly. We need to organize deeply within our unions and make sure that we're finding ways to bring solidarity into real manifestation in our daily lives.
America is at a standstill. Government offices closed, paycheck frozen, and thousands of hardworking federal employees left uncertain about tomorrow. As political battle rage in Washington, the real victim are everyday Americans, caught in the crossfire of a government shutdown.
A breaking story as we're on the air tonight. There are massive firings now underway. Day 10 now of the government shutdown. President Trump making good on his threat to fire federal workers. What we know so far, who's affected, Mary Bruce at the White House.
Day 10 of the government shutdown, and with no end in sight. Tonight, President Trump making good on his threat to fire federal workers, sparking confusion and fear. The layoffs announced in a tweet. The president's budget director, Russ Vought, posting that the reductions in force have begun, sending workers scrambling.
It'll be a lot of people.
The White House hasn't said which programs will be targeted or how many workers will ultimately be fired. ABC News has learned tonight layoffs are now happening at the Departments of Education, Health and Human Services, and Treasury. The administration has argued they have to fire workers to afford to keep essential government services up and running, but layoffs have never been required in any previous shutdown. The president himself has been more blunt, saying the shutdown presents an unprecedented opportunity to cut more agencies. And seeking to up the pressure on Democratic lawmakers, he said he will only target Democratic programs.
These are largely people that the Democrats want. Many of them will be fired.
The firings now underway as federal workers are starting to feel the financial impacts of this shutdown. Today, most federal workers receiving only a partial paycheck, their last paycheck until the government reopens. Starting next week, 2 million military service members will get no paycheck at all. And the president has suggested some workers may not get back pay when this is all over.
Of course, we don't want to lose our paychecks, but it doesn't just affect us, right? This affects everyone. Part of my job is investigating illegal firings. And so all of those people who've been illegally fired and have turned to the government for help, they're also waiting. Trump is threatening to close our agencies, to lay off mass amounts of federal workers, which is totally different than any other shutdown. It's always been temporary. We go back to work. We go back to providing the same services. Here, he's saying that he wants to end that.
This isn't the first shutdown that I have been through as a federal worker or a contractor to the federal government. I've never been conflicted about it. I've always felt, obviously, fund the government, this is silly. But this time is just so different because the greater shutdown was already happening. Our jobs in the federal government have been under threat. It's just so much bigger. What we're dealing with is just so much bigger than my job. Threatening to fire us is a bullying tactic. That's what it is, plain and simple.
Will I ever have a job to go back to is a concern that a lot of employees are facing right now. But what we're also seeing is that there's a lot of resolve this time where, it's different because we see what's at stake. We want to make sure that we have agencies to go back to, and it can't go back to the status quo because we need to have the actual funding to be able to complete our missions to continue to serve the American people.
When government shut down, it's not just politics, it's people. Behind every unpaid check is a father, a mother, a soldier, a nurse, and a park ranger, all waiting for answer that never comes. From coast to coast, federal workers are being forced to make impossible choices. Some are missing rent payments, others can't avoid gas to get to second job, and thousands are depending on food banks just to feed their family. Economists warn that every day the shutdowns continue, the nation lost millions. But what can't be measured is the emotion cost, the anxiety, the broken trust, and the growing dividing between those in power and those who serve under them. For years, America has prided itself on resilience, but resilience must not mean suffering in silence. It's time for both sides of government to put politics aside and remember that leadership means protecting the people, not punishing them. To every federal workers waiting for relief, your works matter, your voice matter, your struggle must not be forgotten. As we close this chapter, we ask, how long can a nation stand divided against itself before the crack become permanent? How long will the people pay the price for the political power plays? This is not just about shutdown, it's about showing up for American people. If you are moved by this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Should government reform how shutdown affects workers' pay? Let's hear your voice. Together, we can find the dots and connect the truth.